Hi, this is Rachel Michael. This is my final project for AEP 855, Educational Leadership, on practicing inclusional leadership. So what does it mean to lead inclusively? There's an episode of The Office that I thought of when I started this project where Michael Scott is leading some diversity training and it kind of goes awry. So this spoke to me, this photo. So inclusive leadership, this video is great when it touches on several points that summarize what inclusive leadership is. So we'll just take a quick peek at that.
Great leadership is at the heart of great businesses and great organizations. With the rapidly changing economy, all organizations need inclusive leaders to make the most of their people. Research shows that 84% of people said that their inclusive leader made them feel more motivated, and 81% said that their inclusive leader improved their performance and productivity. So what is a great inclusive leader? Inclusive leaders can adapt their style and are aware of the diversity and style differences of the people they work with and manage. They are skilled at developing and supporting strong and diverse talent. They are innovative. They value and foster others' innovations. They are courageous enough to go against the grain. And they are collaborative in their leadership style. Right now, the Australian workforce does not have enough inclusive leaders, and those who do exist are pioneers. They've learnt their skills through personal experience, rarely through formal training programs. It doesn't have to be this way. You have the opportunity to provide formal training to your leaders to promote a truly inclusive workplace. If your leaders are inclusive, you will increase engagement, productivity, commercial success, retention, and innovation. The best inclusive leaders are those who can achieve great success for themselves and their teams because they are making the most of their people. Contact Embrin today to discuss how we can help your leaders foster a truly inclusive culture.
I thought this was a great summary. It really touched on some of the things that I think about when I think about the field that I'm going into, which is instructional technology. The innovation, the adapting to different styles, and the collaboration are all important. So the other resource I have is an article by David Witt, 6 Strategies for Leveraging Diversity in Your Organization. It's actually an article summarizing a presentation given by Ken Blanchard, and he gave 6 strategies for implementing inclusion and your leadership. So the first strategy was set an inclusive vision. I thought a lot of these points aligned very well with the leadership challenge and as well as the 21st century leadership model, having a vision, setting a clear plan so that the employees can see that vision and feel a part of it and feel empowered by that vision. Increasing the quality and quantity of conversations between managers and direct reports. So this video is Ken Blanchard and Scott Blanchard, and it really talks about how the quality of the conversations that you have with employees sometimes are much more important than the quantity. So I couldn't trim this clip, so I will try to fast forward to the point we need to be at.
Confidentiality is critical to our firm.
Oh my God, you guys, like sensitive information, I can keep it.
Well, it's interesting. Look at leadership and situational leadership specifically. We think it's about increasing the frequency and the quality of conversations that people have with their direct reports. You know, the frequency is hard. It's hard to find more time. I mean, if you find a way to give me more time in my week, you know, it'll be great. But we've really zeroed in on the quality. And one of the questions that we ask, and we'll ask you right now, is how useful are your conversations to the people you're talking to? It's a fundamental question that people don't ask themselves a lot of times, because as a manager, if I'm leading you towards a task and you and I talk and we interact, the big question is, was that conversation useful? Do you feel good about me as a result, or better than you did before we started talking? And do you have a better idea of how to do the job? Or was my conversation a pain in the neck? You actually feel like I treated you disrespectfully. You're not going to be as turned on. And you know what? I didn't really help you get the job done. Right. And so the idea of effective leadership is, you know, to focus on people more of your time than you do now. But ultimately, it's about how do I have useful conversations with people about their performance. And of course, the most useful conversations are not focused on what I need to get done as a manager, but they're focused on who are you, what are you up to, what do you need to get the job done, and how can I serve you to get your job done?
That's the ultimate in servant leadership, see, because, you know, goal setting starts good performance, and the traditional hierarchy has to be in charge of it. It doesn't mean you don't involve people, but once the goals are clear, what Scott's talking about is that partnership you get from we're working together, and as the boss, I'm really working for him because I want to make sure he has everything he needs to win. And I think that's really key. We're doing it together, I'm not doing it to him.
Absolutely.
Kouzes and Postner say in the book that you have to ask yourself every day, are your conversations meaningful? And I think this also makes a great point about servant leadership and 21st century leadership. And when we're including people from diverse backgrounds and different walks of life and different situations, it's important that our conversations with them have some sort of meaning, and we're not just speaking. The next point is walk the talk, and this is really about integrity and having some credibility. So nobody really wants to work for somebody who they don't believe in. It's important that you are able to you walk the talk, make sure that you can you have the skills and the competency to lead, make sure that your credibility is the foundation of that leadership. Kim Blanchard touched on this in the video previously, also turning the organizational hierarchy upside down. So again, this is another 21st century leadership point, is that it really is about serving the people who work for you. It's really the leaders being there to coach the people that are working for them and giving them the tools they need to be successful. And when practicing inclusion, it's important that you are trying to support and coach and give the tools that everybody needs to be successful. Considering the whole person. So this is important. It's about, everybody comes to work from some sort of a personal life, and they want to come to work and feel cared about and understood and valued. Increasing involvement. One of my favorite quotes I read from Ken Blanchard was, "No one of us is as smart as all of us." And I think that that's just a great piece of information. Collaboration is key, and it's important to really solicit ideas from the people who are there and who are working for you. Sheryl Sandberg says to listen, and she actually says to lean in. So I feel like that means really to actively listen. So now what? This is another picture from my favorite episode of The Office. So some challenges do come along with inclusive leadership, and it's important to address those. So having some unconscious biases you may not realize that are there, biases toward other genders, toward other races, you may not really even realize you're doing that, including something called affinity bias. We tend to be biased toward people who are more like us. So it's important to realize that in a diverse workplace, we're going to encounter people that are different from us and different from each other, and to work with that. Having a fear of too much inclusion. So when you have people giving you input, it kind of causes some decision paralysis. And so when you are working with people and soliciting different ideas from them, it's important to remember that it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to come to a consensus. It just means that everybody's ideas are heard, and it's the leader's decision at the end to kind of put those together. There is a fear of time. This does take time to turn over an organization. It's not something that happens overnight. There's always tension and conflict when you've got ideas coming from people of different backgrounds, and it's important to realize that happens and use that to your advantage. It is difficult to measure and assess inclusive leadership. Diversity is easy to measure. There's numbers, there's percentages, you can look at that, but inclusion is not numbers. There's nothing that you can really do to measure it, so you can't really tell if you're reaching your goal unless you pay very close attention. So in my field, instructional technology, I think it's going to be really important in the future to to lead inclusively, to foster some of the innovation and bring in different viewpoints. In the instructional technology field, there's going to be people from different backgrounds who are going to think outside the box, and it's important to listen to those ideas and take them all into account. Fostering a collaborative environment, it's a team effort, especially when it comes to technology, and spreading the word and helping teachers integrate technology into their classrooms. Teachers and technologists need to work together, and sometimes it's the teachers that are going to drive the projects and ultimately determine the success. And it's the job of the IT person to really support that and give them the tools they need to be successful. So these are the resources that I used. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.